The preacher man says it's the end of time, and the Mississippi River, she's a going dry. The interest is up and the stock market's down, and you're only getting mugged if you go downtown.
But if you're Joe Rogan, you're a champion jiu-jitsu guy, mixed martial arts, he'll beat up the mugger. Joe is really nice. He's agreed to stay with us a whole other hour. And we're going to have Burmas back in later to talk 9/11 with him. JoeRogan.net. Joe, I want to get back into 9/11 and other things later, but right now I wanted to talk about DMT and electronic voting machines. I know you've talked a lot about both those issues, and they're both pretty darn important. You want to get into DMT first and the type of experiences you've had? I mean, you're a big health guy, but you've taken this, I guess, as a spiritual experience or whatever. You want to tell folks what happens when you take it?
I think that psychedelic experiences are the root of all religious experiences. That's what my personal belief is. I believe that these religious experiences that people have had without psychedelics are the result of natural, endogenous dumps of psychedelics in your system. And this is from reading a lot of people's books. None of these are my ideas.
Yeah, you eat some bad cheese and it's got DMT in it. It's in a lot of natural things.
It's not that simple. It's not that you can't really eat DMT because DMT, your stomach produces something called monoamine oxidase, and it breaks down.
You got to smoke it, but I mean, there's other things that'll make you hallucinate and food, though.
There's ways that they've been doing it for thousands of years in the Amazon where they make a brew called ayahuasca. And what it is the vine of one plant and then the leaves of another plant. And it's mixed together. So it's DMT is in one of the plants, and the other plant is what's called an MAO inhibitor, a monoamine oxidase inhibitor. And what that does is it allows them to take an orally active form of DMT. And this drug DMT, you want to call it a drug, it's actually a natural human neurotransmitter.
No, I understand.
And it exists, but I'm just saying to people that don't understand it, it exists everywhere in nature. It exists in thousands of different plants. It exists in human beings make it naturally. They believe the pineal gland is what makes it. And what that means, what the pineal gland is, it's literally your third eye. It's a gland in the middle of your forehead that in reptiles, in some reptiles, it actually has a retina and a cornea and a lens. I mean, it literally is a third eye. And this is where all the anecdotal evidence points to that this gland is producing this crazy chemical.
During your sleep.
It's produced in your body, wherever it is, whatever makes it. When you take this stuff, you encounter the most unbelievably beautiful experience, ultimate wisdom, being in front of something that exposes every single aspect of your personality, of your thoughts, everything you've ever said and done. It's like reads you right through you, connects you to everything in the world, and you're being communicated with. Something is talking to you, and it's whatever it is, you're looking at it, and it's constantly changing, and it looks like, the way I describe it, I say it's like complex geometric patterns that are made out of love. It's some unbelievable experience, and your own brain makes this stuff, and they believe that your brain makes this stuff in mass quantities right before you die. So what you could be seeing when you do DMT, heaven, the idea of heaven, might be real. It might not be as simple as you die. It might be something far more complicated.
Now, Joe, if you love this stuff so much, I mean, you're a big health guy. You've only taken it twice, though. Is that because it's so heavy?
I've taken it a bunch of times.
Okay, well, I must have heard an old interview then.
It was an old interview. That was a few years ago. It's not something that you do all the time, though. It's something that you do, and then you have to really think about what you learned when you were having that experience, because otherwise you're going to lose your context. The problem with psychedelics is if you do them too much, you lose your connection to this world. You lose your connection to people and life and our culture and our society and communication and friendship. You lose your connection because the other world is so crazy and so alien to this world that once you've been in it a few times, this world doesn't make any more sense.
Stay there, Joe. I want to talk about how we're in one world while we're sleeping and another world while we're waking. Stay there.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
5 minutes left with Joe Rogan by himself. Then we've got scheduled Vincent Bugliosi, the prosecutor of the Manson family. He's saying George Bush needs to be arrested and indicted for murder. So Joe will be riding shotgun with us for that. And then another 30 minutes after Bugliosi leaves us, we can get into a bunch of other issues. Always love having Joe on with us, and we've certainly waited too long to have him back up. We appreciate him coming on. JoeRogan.net. My websites are Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We also have the viewers at PrisonPlanet.tv. And these are the type of great guests we bring you Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Joe Rogan, you were talking about this chemical that's in the brain associated with dreaming, associated with spiritual experiences, DMT. And the last time I'd seen an interview with you talking about it, you've taken it a few times. You since say you've taken it more. Again, please continue about the sleeping world, that reality, and then the waking world.
That is a lot of that is speculation about what happens to us when we sleep. What they believe is that DMT is produced in large levels during sleeping and during the moment before death. And one of the things about the DMT experience that's the most unsettling, or the strangest rather, is that when you pop over there, you feel like you've been there before. Like right away, you're like, oh man, I've been here. Like instantly, you recognize it. Almost like you go there all the time. And that's the idea behind it. The idea behind it is that there's something happens to us when we sleep, and that it's very possible that we enter into the DMT world when we're in the periods of heavy REM sleep. And the reason why they believe that is that one of the reasons is just like a dream. You know when you have a dream and you wake up and you're like, whoa, I had the craziest dream.
It fades away in seconds.
And 5, 10 seconds later, you can't remember the dream. A half an hour later, it's like, I had a dream. Like, you remember, like, little flashes of what you were talking about. Like, maybe if it's really crazy and you were talking about it, then you'll remember because you were talking to someone about it. Like, you wake your wife up and you just immediately start telling her about your dream, and then she'll kind of remember it, and then she'll remind you, and then you'll remember it. Well, that's what DMT is like.
What's that term? I'm in a movie about it. You'd think I remember the name. It's not astronaut. It's about people that are into experiencing, remembering their dreams, controlling their dreams.
Oh, lucid dreaming.
Yeah, lucid dreaming, but there's a term, Argonauts or something.
I don't know. But there's people that believe that is related to DMT. That the lucid dream and DMT is very closely related.
Well, here's the deal. I don't get into
speculation, though. Dr. Rick Strassman, he's a guy out of the University of New Mexico, is doing all these crazy studies to try to figure out what is real and what is not. He's got this whole Cottonwood Research Foundation that is dedicated to finding out what the levels of DMT are in a bunch of different human, different things that we do during the day, different actions, whether it's being scared or whether it's being in love, and they're going to do a whole bunch of studies to try to figure out what the levels are.
Well, all I know is
stuff.
I've had a few dozen dreams, and you always know after them. It's kind of a waking dream. You wake up, you're sweating. It's so intense. Like, I had a dream of this exact person that tried to mug me in Dallas. I'm like 15. I wake up, freaked out. I see this person in this green and yellow and pink shirt come around the corner and assault me. And as I was walking around this corner, about 5-6 months later, this person comes around the corner and attacks me, and it's them. And I was because I told people about it, Joe. And
you know why people think that that's crazy? Is because people can't do that all the time. That's the only reason why people think that's crazy. If you stop and think about all the crazy things that people can do, how about just the fact that we can see out of our eyes? We look through these organs in our head, and we can make out objects, and we can read things, and that's a crazy gift. Could you imagine if there were no eyes, trying to describe the power of eyesight to someone if there were no eyes? It would be almost impossible.
Wow, Joe, that's an amazing way to describe it. Blowing me away.
That is how it could be. It could be that there's a bunch of different things that are possible. We just don't have the capability to do it, or we're evolving the capability of it. Human beings aren't done evolving.
Joe Rogan's our guest. Stay with us.